Live on WFLA Now. This is Run for Fun with running enthusiast Leigh Spann.
That's right. Welcome. You're joining us once again in the WFLA Now Stream Center for this week's episode of Run for Fun with Leigh Spann. Of course, I'm your host, meteorologist Leigh Spann here at WFLA. But as you just heard, of course, I'm also a running enthusiast. And I just wanted to create a show to help spread the crazy notion that running can, in fact, be fun. And you just have to do a couple of little simple things to add that to your life. And, of course, joining me, as she does every week, is Tampa running coach, Coach Maria.
Hello.
Hey,
how are you,
Maria.
Leigh?
I'm great. I'm great. How is meditating?
Well, I'm in the middle of a move right now, so I'm meditating. I meditated one time this week, but that was my goal once a week. Well, no, 3 times a week, so I got a little ways to go. Right. But hey, I'm getting better.
If you're just we promised that we would keep each other accountable to our New Year's resolutions. I sent you the video or the picture that I did one online yoga class. Yes. And I was so stiff.
Oh, yeah.
It was really, after years of doing yoga and then stopping for 3 years, it's such a step back from what I remember.
Yoga is scarily a little harder than it maybe is assumed to be.
So I'm getting there. That's why I wanted to do it. It's feel a little more flexible. And we've gotten a little bit of feedback about our recent episodes. Everybody I talk to is loving it.
I know. See, that's the thing. That's the difference between you and me, Leigh. People say nice things to you, and then they don't say nice things to me.
And in particular, one guy said one nice things to me. Dow.
Yeah, Dow. Yeah. But then Dow said, Coach, you're so funny, but you're not funny on the podcast. Like, be funny. So, and he said, tell jokes. So I'm gonna start today with a joke.
Okay.
So Leigh, what did the 0 say to the 8?
Well, I don't know. What did the 0 say to the 8?
Nice belt. Haha. See, Dow, that's for you for feedback. All right. Give us some more feedback. Oh, I also got feedback that I shouldn't wear the color gray.
Okay.
Gray's bad for me.
Well, I honestly, I don't wear a lot of gray on TV, but
now I know.
These are things maybe I should have. I mean, you look beautiful at everything, of course.
Oh, thank you.
But yes, we like. We were once told to always wear Skittle colors.
Oh, Skittle colors. That makes sense.
Primary colors, basically.
Yeah,
but anyway,
all right.
Skittle colors. But for people listening to this on the podcast, they don't care what.
Yeah, I mean, nobody really cares about that. That's okay.
Okay, so I also want to thank everyone who has joined our virtual running group. I mean, this is, we started it on Strava, which is a free app. Yeah. And we just started it last Tuesday, and 51 runners have joined. We've logged collectively about 400 miles together in the week since we started this. So we encourage you guys to comment on each other's Strava posts.
Yeah.
This is a real community. Give each other kudos. Help spread this running love. And
share it with your friends.
So let's talk about a little bit about how to download Strava, because I actually had a couple of questions on that on Facebook. So once you download it, it's a free app that you just hit record on your phone as you go out and go out on a walk or a run. But to find the club, you have to first go to groups and then search clubs.
Yeah, at the top there's a little arrow, and it says athletes, and then I think it says something else, and then clubs underneath it. And you have to hit on clubs, and then you search in clubs, and you search WFLA Run for Fun. And we come up first.
Yeah, and so then we can post. Maria can talk, can help answer questions. But again, we want this to be a virtual group, so that if you don't live in the Tampa Bay area, that's fine. That was one of the first things someone said to me, like, "Oh, I wish I lived in your area." It's like, no, this could be
you can live anywhere.
We look forward to how many people can join. So again, this is only started last Tuesday, so less than a week ago, and now 51 runners are part of our running. Part of our virtual running group, and that also includes Nick Santana. Everybody,
look at that! Oh man,
there he is. So that's everybody. There's Nick.
Hey guys.
If you weren't with us last week, we started it. We're going to do a check-in with Nick. Nick was a athlete growing up, and now he is a producer here at WFLA, and we are going to make him run a 5K correctly. We are going to help him sort of build up into
12 weeks.
12-week training to get it to run 3.1 miles. So, Coach, what do you have to ask Nick today?
How did your runs go?
They went well.
Did you work on the breathing? Did you work on the going slower? How did that feel?
The breathing was it changed everything.
Doesn't it change everything?
Seriously, it was a much more enjoyable run. I was able to run further.
Yeah.
And
did you have anything bothering you? Was anything hurting when you were doing it?
Well, Leigh knows this. I actually had to call out of work one of these days because I had a pinched nerve in my neck. And it impaired my vision a little bit. And and I even woke up and was like, maybe a run will help it out. Didn't really help it out. So I'm like, I'm gonna go back on the couch. I'm gonna hang out. Get a little icy hot and put it on there. But I mean, after waiting a few days, it was better. Yeah. So I was able to get back out there. And
good. And you were able to get all 3 runs in?
Yes.
That's awesome.
And it was the last minute. Was before I came in last night.
So. Okay, that's all right.
I'm like, I have to do it because God forbid.
So, which is interesting that you said before you went to work last night. So you do have kind of a crazy schedule, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to be part of our topic today, right, Maria?
Yeah.
Is how people that don't have the typical 9-to-5 schedule.
Yeah. So give me a little rundown. Give me a day in the life of Nick.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't have to tell me everything.
Oh, no. I mean, hey, I'm an open book. So I go home and I usually go right to sleep. Right?
Okay. At what time? At night?
I mean, I would be dreaming about running when I woke up. This would be my time. I go home, I go to sleep, and I shower, and then I wake up around 5 or 6.
Okay.
In the evening.
In the evening.
In the evening, and I get dinner, prepare dinner or whatever we have going on, and then I go for my run. So
okay. And then you work overnight? I
work overnight. So
okay. So
it just depends on the other activities going on. Now, does my roommate want to play pickleball? Do my friends want to go out and maybe have a little cocktail one night? I don't know. So it just all depends.
Okay. And what time do you have to be in for work?
11 o'clock.
Oh my God.
It's brutal. It's rough.
That's brutal.
And that's what I was saying. I don't understand how Leigh can go 4 hours on air because I can hang out in the back and producers. I'm too beautiful for TV. Let's just put it that way.
Clearly.
So but it's amazing. What we do and how to keep it running. But get it.
And so much of that has we have to make, in order for running to be fun, it has to fit into your schedule, because if it doesn't fit into your schedule properly, you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
So that's why when you said last week, you're like, oh, I think I can do 5 days. I'm like, let's start with 3 because 3 is doable. If you had a pinched nerve and we had started on 5 and you would have felt defeated that you couldn't do all 5. So I'm hoping you're feeling pretty good about getting all 3 runs in.
Oh yeah, no, 3 was a great number. 3 was it felt good.
So now you do your run. You do your run when you get up.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, that makes sense.
So it's his morning, basically.
It's my morning. Yeah. My morning run, but it's in the evening. So.
Okay, and you eat something before you go.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Was that there was a hesitation there?
Well, I mean, it's dinner.
Okay,
it's a pretty not big meal, but
Oh, so do you eat dinner before you go run?
Well, this is the whole
See.
Working overnights is one of the hardest things because I wake up and I'm like, I could really go for chicken and rice because it's 5 or 6.
Oh yeah, makes sense.
And I actually enjoy breakfast as when normal people eat breakfast. So it's very odd, but that's just what we're used to.
Yeah, that's I don't know that I could do what you do.
I know.
I'm impressed.
I know.
That's amazing. But so this week we're going to take one of your runs and we're going to make it a little bit harder.
Okay.
Okay. So I want you to keep your still 3 runs this week, but the middle run, I want you to do what we call hill repeats. Have you ever done those before?
I'm not sure.
No.
Just run up a hill and just.
Yeah, basically. So we want you to find obviously Tampa's kind of flat. So you'd have to find a bridge would be a good place to do it. A parking garage is a good place to do it. If you have access to a treadmill is actually a good place to do hill repeats. You just have to put it on 4% or 5% grade because you're looking for a hill that's more gradual than it is steep.
Okay.
Okay. And you're basically going to warm up. You're going to do 10 minutes super easy like you did.
Okay.
And then you're going to run up the hill for 1 minute, moderately hard. You're going to be out of breath when you get done with the minute. And then you're going to walk back down the hill. And then you're going to do that 5 more times.
Okay. So I have a good place in mind. I in Bel Air, Clearwater,
Yeah.
right over to Indian Rocks Beach.
It's my favorite bridge to do them on.
It's a nice bridge.
It is awesome.
It's a good bridge.
Yeah, I love that bridge.
So
I've actually done some clinics on that bridge. It's a tough bridge, so that's good.
It's pretty steep. It's really is.
Yeah. And so the key with hill repeats is that people like try to go like balls out. They're like, I'm just gonna go as hard as I can up the hill, and then they're hurt like within the second repeat.
They're exhausted. Yeah.
Let's not do that. We're gonna start at a moderately hard effort and then get faster as we go. So I'd rather you be conservative the first few and then have your fastest one be your last one.
So run to the bridge for 10 minutes.
Yep, just a warm up.
Okay, so just do
Nice,
a
easy
run,
warm up.
what we've been doing all last week, and then 1 minute sprint up, and
then walk down.
Back down. Okay.
And then you just repeat that five more times. So you're doing a total of 6. And really, we're just getting the legs stronger and used to some harder effort, so that when we add speed work, your legs are ready for it.
Okay.
Right? So when you're going up a hill, you want to take short, fast steps and kind of lean from the ankles. You're not going to you use your arms to drive you. So try to stay light on your feet.
Yeah, let's go through that again because I'm actually needing some of that.
Yeah.
So go through how to go up a moderate hill. I mean, clearly there's there's some really steep hills, but yes.
Hill repeats are very different than running a hill in a race.
Right.
I like to say that because people think they're preparing themselves for the race, and I'm like, no. We're building strength, and this needs to be a hard effort. So in a race, we back off on the hill and we surge at the top of the hill and make it up on the downhill. This we are doing as a workout. So you're going to run hard up the hill and be out of breath, and you're going to need to turn around and recover. You don't want to race up a hill in a race. That's not what we do. We're just building leg speed right now.
And then, did you say lead
strength
with the ankle? What was it?
You want to lean forward from the ankle. That doesn't mean from the hips. A lot of people like, oh, coach wants me to lean, and they go, oh. And I'm like, no. It's a forward lean, but you're taking shorter, faster steps. Okay. So you're going to be on the front of your feet when you're running uphill.
Okay.
Yeah.
For a minute.
For 1 minute.
So interval training. Boom.
Yes,
boom,
it's interval training.
Boom.
It's really building leg strength so that we can, when we add speed, your legs aren't like, whoa, what is this? Yeah. And it's going to help your VO2 max. So that's good. Makes you stronger.
Perfect.
Do you want to tell them what the VO2 max is?
No, we'll do that later.
Fine.
We won't throw too much information at him before he's all freaked out. As long as I know
that's helping that's all that matters.
Yes. It is
we're building your heart. We're making your heart stronger.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. All right.
Lung capacity.
And so once again, we want to say that we're on this Strava group. And so there's one of Nick's runs. That's what it looks like. And as we build this community, we want people to comment. We want people to help each other. If it looks like someone did something that's different from what they normally do, like make sure that they're getting some kind of kudos for that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Nick, did you have to walk in any of your run in your 20 minutes?
No,
you
not
just
really.
went nice and easy.
No, just nice and easy. It was a good easy run. But also with Strava, another thing just to point out for whoever wants to download it, because it's a really good app. It's orange.
It's
seriously.
orange.
No, it's an orange app with like a triangle looking symbol on it. But seriously though, this when you liked my post or when Leigh liked it, and Beth Russo made a comment, it's like, okay, here we go.
Beth Russo, I got to meet this Beth Russo chick.
Well, she's really
I saw her on Strava. She's a good runner.
Oh, she's great. But she's like she texts me like, did you go for your run? I'm like, yes.
Good.
That's good.
But yeah, but when someone likes or comments and interacts with your post or your run, it makes you want to do it more, and that's what makes it fun. Yeah, it really does.
It is. It is fun.
And
it's a good community.
And when you're not so out of breath, it makes it even more fun. Like you're like, oh, I can do this more often. Now, so we'll see what you think next week after the hill repeat.
Yeah. There's not much talking or breathing well in those, but
you
know what, that pinched nerve is kind of acting up right
now.
Yeah,
right, Nick.
Well, I'm glad you're feeling better, Nick. And we got some feedback from from the YouTube channel. And it happens to be a friend of yours, Miss Kathy Sheeran. She is excited about this.
Amazing.
She said that she's a friend of Nick. So tell us a little bit about Kathy.
Well, she's basically like a second mother to me. And her son is actually running too right now. He's he played D1 baseball at Westchester. Go Rams. And but he's been running a lot, so it's just kind of been the theme these past few weeks, with the New Year's resolution. And she just saw the community and thought that this was great, wanted to hop on and try it. And
awesome.
I'm gonna I sent her information on how to download Strava and how to join the group. So, you know, I didn't check to see if she joined it yet, but she's very enthusiastic and she plays pickleball with the best of them. At the Healthplex, she gives everyone a run for their money. So she's wonderful.
That's
she's
good.
great.
Well, so do you have any questions for us or specifically Coach?
For your next workout, you have any questions?
Not right now. I don't know. When it comes to me, I need to like write some of them down because like when I'm doing it, it kind of, it hits me and then I kind of forget.
Yeah, write them down. Send
But
them
yeah,
to me.
I need to write them down. So yeah, but it's just mostly about like technique, I guess.
Yeah, we're gonna do a whole podcast
like
on
heel
that.
toe, like you
Yeah.
know, like I don't like.
Yeah, we're gonna work on that.
Yeah.
We'll talk
Okay.
about that.
Mid
Also,
foot.
I have my shoes here. I don't know if you want to see them.
Yeah, I
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
want to see.
Just real
them.
quick,
Yeah.
Yeah.
quick peek.
You're not taking them off your
So-
feet. Okay.
Oh no, yeah,
That's
this is it right here. So I
Okay.
don't know if this is
So
It's good for now. Without watching you run, it's kind of hard to tell if those are good for you.
okay. Yeah,
But,
I mean, it's kind of like a flat. Like I don't know what you guys expect.
each person is very different.
Yes.
So was a shoe that I love and would think is the best shoe you may hate and Maria may hate. And then
Okay.
Maria may tell me she wears a
Yeah.
shoe that I hate. So
And you actually, I have to watch you run at some point to like
Okay.
check your hips and check your knees and check your ankles and what they're doing in the shoe because everybody's body does something different in the shoe. So for right now, what we're doing, they're great.
Nice. Okay.
let's see that was a question. And
Yes.
so
I
thank-
came prepared. You know,
We
I wanted
will
that
talk
was good.
about
You
where
brought
because
props.
as we get more miles and we add a day, you are probably going to have to go somewhere and have your gait analyzed and stuff.
Okay.
So when you go to just about any running shoe store, someone will watch you run. It may be on a treadmill. They may send you out on the sidewalk outside, and they will look to see again how you align, how your feet land, and there are specific shoes to make sure that people are more aligned.
Yeah.
Okay.
But right now, again, so the same shoe doesn't work for every
Just
single
run of the mill
person.
Nike shoe. Just
Maybe what we should
right
do
now,
is
just-
we should talk Cody into coming in and doing it for him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that'd be a good
Or
segment.
we can go shoot it.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
So anyway, thank you, Nick. I know
problem.
Nick is really sleepy.
Yeah, really
He tried to take
sleepy.
a car nap.
Yeah. Go take a car nap, but try not to do it so you're going to pinch a nerve. All right.
Oh my lord, I know. That's probably why I did it anyway. So, well, listen, yeah, it was good. Go Dogs.
Oh yes, go Dogs.
Well,
so
hopefully Georgia can bring home a win for Leigh.
so,
that'd be great.
so Nick, thank you for that transition. Actually, because we'll let you leave here in just a little bit, but we are actually taping this. Full transparency. We are taping this on Monday because I have been a lifelong Georgia football fan, and we are playing in the national championship tonight. So all of you out there listening or watching, you already know what happened because we were taping this on Monday, and we will release this on Tuesday. So I will either be a very happy Georgia fan or a very sad Georgia fan, but that goes into sort of what our topic is today. It's how to be a little more flexible. Like when Nick had a pinched nerve, he realized that running wasn't the best thing. So you have to always be able to look at what your schedule looks like that week and that day and that month, so that you're not always trying to push through no matter what. So in response to that, I decided that hold on one more second, that we were taping today. I'm wearing my Georgia red. So thank you so much, Nick. Go get a nap and tell Miss Kathy we said hi.
100%.
Thank you, Nick.
I'm
I
sure
will.
she can
Guys,
come
Sweet
join-
take care.
dreams, Nick.
Yeah.
Maria, thank you. It's always a pleasure, guys.
All right, bye,
Enjoy
Nick.
the rest of the show. Take care.
All right. So, Maria, one of the things that you harp on for all of your clients is that to not just stick to to do the same thing every time, no matter what's going on in your life, right?
Yeah. Flexibility is important. And unfortunately, we are a very perfectionist society. And we feel like if we're not doing everything perfectly, then we can't do it at all. So that leads to people being perfect for a short amount of time and then giving up and doing nothing. So our goal is to keep you guys moving like all the time.
Yeah.
Right? So in order to do that, we need to be flexible with the schedule.
So that's why the name of the episode is Incorporating Running, so it adds energy to your life. Because if you've had Maria just said she's moving right now. And so she might have to lower the amount of exercise because she's moving, literally moving her body as she moves her, her furniture around and things like that. So you have to think of that. So that's why some of the topics that Maria was talking about is seasons of life. We're going to talk more about that, how to have a work-life run balance, and of course, those stress buckets.
Yeah, the stress
what that
buckets.
means
We love
and how
the
we
stress
can
buckets.
not have those overtake our lives.
Yes,
Sure.
that's true. It's all about balance, right?
It is. So why do you think, I know you've talked about this before, but like, why is it that people have this inability to be flexible when,
I think it stems from the fact that we're afraid of failure and we don't want to feel failure. And so, and it happens not just with running. Like
Right,
a lot
yes.
of times it happens like even with eating, like, oh, I'm taking all sugar out. And so then when we accidentally have sugar, we're like, oh, screw it. I'm just going to eat all the sugar today that I can because I messed it up anyway. When the reality is, if you just said, oh, I'm just going to have a cookie and then move on and continue to not eat sugar, then you don't have that like binge and purge kind of thing. So we need to be careful in running, especially because it's really easy to get hurt when we're pushing through all the time. And there's just different seasons for things, and I've been running since I was 19, and there've been a lot of different seasons in my life. So I would say my mileage definitely depends on what season I'm in and what I'm doing. Like when I had little babies, I wasn't able to run as much. So I was able to go to the gym more because I could take the kids with me and put them in daycare and for an hour, and I would lift more. Because it was hard for me to get out, and I hated I hated the stroller. Like that just was terrible for me. I was not running with that.
I do remember you telling that story. You were like, oh, I can't. Like,
I hated it.
When you first had the baby, this is going to be great. I can get out and run with them. And then you immediately
hated the stroller. I was like, nope, the stroller can go. It's my time. It's my me time. No. So then I had to adjust my schedule. So then I had to become more of a morning runner. So I would get up really early in the morning and before the kids got up and run, and then they would wake up and I'd start my day, or before Luke went to work or before I went to work or whatever it was. Like we just, it's constant negotiation and compromise is really what you have
with
to
yourself.
do. With myself.
Right.
Yeah. And with your spouse or partner, what you're going to do matters. So in different seasons of life, like I had this runner, Erin DeJose, love her dearly. She was a solid runner. Still is, but she was running probably 100 miles a week.
Wow.
Yeah, not a week. Sorry, not a week.
Okay.
A month. Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say that is significant.
Yeah.
Okay,
100 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she was coming to track every week. She was one of my best track athletes. And I just started to notice that she was kind of looking a little run down, and she was just, I could tell something was going on in her life. And so I pulled her aside after track one day and I said, Erin, is everything okay? And she's just broke down in tears. And she said, Coach, I'm struggling. I've been trying to have a baby. I can't have a baby. Like I have tried all the things. She had tried every natural thing she could try. And she was so frustrated. And then her doctor actually, like as a final, natural try, said, why don't you back off on the running? Because maybe it's getting too much cortisol into your body and whatever. So, and there is some research that that can happen.
Right.
So, and she's like, running's all I have. It's what I do. And I'm like, listen, it's a season. Like if this is important enough for you that you want to try it, then back off. Just back off. You don't have to stop running. Just back off. And she was about to do IVF. So she said, I'll do that. I'll back off. And then I'll hold the IVF for a little bit. And lo and behold, she did get pregnant.
Yeah.
So, and then after the first baby, she came right back to track because she couldn't wait. She was like, I'm going to get up. And she was like breastfeeding and getting up early. And then I could tell like probably 3 or 4 weeks in, she was really struggling. I'm like, hey, Erin, maybe that season's not quite over
or
yet.
It's slightly different.
Yeah,
season.
it's a different, like maybe like it doesn't mean you can't run, but maybe your running needs to look a little different. And so, and she's like, Coach, I just needed you to say that. I just needed you to say it's okay for me to not come to track, and that track will be there for me later. And so she's so cute. She now has this group now. She really just wanted to exercise. She wanted to keep exercising, and she still runs like once or twice a week. She still says it's her favorite thing. I talked to her this morning. She said, it's still my favorite thing to do. I just can't do it as much as I used to. But she now runs her own iStroll. So the kids, she takes her kids with her, and she runs an iStroll where all the moms in the area can bring their kids and exercise, and she built it into the season of life she is in. Do you think in 10 years she'll probably be doing iStroll? Probably not.
Because her 10ry-year-old child.
Yeah, her 10-year-old child might not want to be in a stroller, but maybe. Yeah. So I just think like to be able to look at the whole picture over the whole span of your life and say, this is just a short season and I'm going to run less so I don't feel defeated.
Right.
Right. And then you never lose that ability to keep running.
And then what do you say to people? Because Erin was, lucky enough to have you all she needed you to say was that it was okay. Yeah. What if someone is trying to do, like, what can they say? What can they mentally say to themselves? Like, just recognize the season that you're in and adjust.
It's all about really being honest with yourself and where you're at, because we try to push ourselves. Like, you can't do everything well all the time. Like, and it
hurts when
it's not. Social media makes us think we can.
Right.
Oh, she's doing that. She's doing that. I can do it. Nobody does everything 100% well. Like, it's just not. It's not possible. So, to just be kind to yourself and have grace and say, I just don't want to quit running, because quitting running, that's not really an option.
Right.
Like, it's just not, because then you have to get back into shape. And you know what? Sometimes it has to be an option.
Right.
Like, sometimes you don't have a choice, and you like, say you're pregnant and you can't run. Like, there's many different complications that would say you can't run. That doesn't mean you're never going to run again. But that's the key, is to not think all or nothing.
Yes.
All the time. Like, if I'm not running, if Erin said, if I'm not running 100 miles a month, then I'm a failure. I'm not going to run anymore. Like, that's kind of sad.
So she
never did that. She just backed off on her miles and ran, and she runs when she can, and she appreciates it when she can, and she knows that someday she'll be able to run more.
And now she has beautiful children.
Yes, she has 3 of them. Yes. And it's funny, like the, some people with the seasons of life, they get so caught up in the racing part of it. Like, oh, but I can't race. And I'm like, well, you're still a runner if you're not racing.
Right.
There's no reason you have to do races to be a runner. Like, you just have to go out there.
Just have to put one foot in front of the other.
And it's better than like losing your fitness and not being able to, and then having to go through it all again. Because that, every time you stop and start, you're losing and eroding that aerobic capacity. And if you just run a little bit, you're still keeping a lot of that.
And if anyone has ever, and I'm sure this has happened to people, like you do some sort of exercising, running or whatever it is, and you get real excited about it. And then when you back off, you try to do it again, like I'm doing with yoga. And I'm like, why did I stop? Like, this was, now it's so hard again. It's like, I went through the hard part already 10 years ago. So why am I going through the hard part again?
Yeah.
But here I am.
Trying it again.
Barely able to touch my toes after being quite flexible, even like 3 years ago. But that's why I'm not going to go back to as much yoga as I was doing before. Yeah. I just want to be able to touch my toes a little bit.
Oh,
easier.
Totally.
So again, same thing. I completely gave up something that I liked, and so now I'm trying to incorporate that back slowly into my world.
Yeah, and seasons can be long, or seasons can be short. Like, you can have a season like you had earlier in the year, which
so then we'll go the work-life run balance. So I had a little bit of an imbalance.
Yeah. Well, and it wasn't, and she didn't even know it was coming, but that's the thing. Like, I brought some balls to play with today, which I'm going to try not to be like a 12-year-old boy and like make bad ball jokes, but
all right, here we go.
But here we go. I'm going to throw you 2 balls.
All right.
All right. Catch. There's one.
Got one here.
And here's 2.
All right.
All right. You got 2.
I got 2.
So, and they're pickleballs. I did that on purpose because pickleball's super trendy right now. So, and
look how well I'm able to balance these. 2.
Yeah.
Like,
she can do it really easy with 2. Work-life balance. Like, that's pretty easy, right?
Yeah. I was doing pretty well, and excited.
But she had a fall race coming up. I'm going to be honest, she was in PR shape for this race, and she was excited. She was going to go with all her friends. We were all going to go have a really fun time. And then she had a death in the family. And I'm just going to throw one more ball at her. And that's not good. Because now
it's a little harder.
Yeah. Now juggle those, Leigh. Just go ahead. Let me see. Oh, yeah. See?
much harder. I got 1, And so I was trying to keep them up, and even it was my grandfather, and in his 90s, so we all went. I went back to my hometown. I still ran. So I was like, okay, here's my 3. I'm able to put this together.
Yeah. And she said to me, what should I do to my schedule? How should I change my schedule? I said, I think you're okay right now.
Yeah.
Then she started traveling. She did travel back. Then we had another death in the family. Yeah. And that's another ball, which I don't have. But you add one more ball to that mix and it starts to get complicated. Yeah. And it starts to get like, oh gosh, what do I do? My race is coming up. And then that starts to become a stressor.
It was. And
her hobby is now becoming a stressor, right? So when that happens, that's when we need to adjust. And I remember her saying, well, I feel like I can still do the race. I'm like, okay, well, let's back off on the running, but you can still do the race. Like, that's fine. And then we had a random hurricane. Now just throw the balls in the air. Like,
that's what happened to my life. Between funerals, there was a major hurricane. I was, boarded up my house, all of that.
And she was sleeping in the studio, like in a tent.
We slept at the TV station. And we were supposed to leave to go to this half marathon in the Finger Lakes of New York.
Yeah. And she was so excited. And honestly, she could have made it. Like, she could have made that work. But I said to her that week, I said, Leigh, I really believe that you need to go home and go to sleep. As much as I'm going to miss you at Wineglass, like, you are going to be so tired and so sad. Stay home with your family where it matters.
And that's what I did. And it did really help. Like, that extra, as I was going to go to a funeral, try to get to a fly out. And I was like, instead, had some drinks in celebration of life with my whole family.
Yes.
And at the end, that was way more rewarding.
Yes, and
for that lead up to it, it was I can do it all. If I did all of this, I could do it all.
Yeah, and when you have that when you have that mentality of I can do it all, you can do it all for a short period of time. And then it catches up to you, and then you start to be resentful of your sport, and then you don't want to do it anymore, and it's the first thing that goes.
Yeah.
So we don't want that to happen. We want it to add energy to your life, and in order to do that, we have to keep stress balanced. And exercise is a stressor on your body. It's a good stressor. We want it to raise our cortisol. That's what we want. But if it becomes too much, that's where the stress buckets come in. Like, we want to fill up our buckets, but we don't want them to overflow.
So when you call them buckets, what do you mean by that?
Well, I know,
but that's what,
yeah. It's an analogy that I use so that people can understand what balance means. Okay. So there's so many stressors in our life that I think we don't even think about, that we just go through life just thinking, oh, it's not that bad. But like me, like, I'm moving right now and I'm like, it's not that bad. But like, then if I sit down and meditate, like when I was trying to meditate the other day, I was like, oh, my stomach hurts. Oh, wait, that's stress. Yeah. My stomach hurting is stress. It's not like, I may not think I'm stressed, but I am. So the outside stress matters in your training. So if your life is extremely stressful, then your exercise life needs to be different. Like Suzanne, she was at the party the other day. We used to be an ER nurse, and then COVID happened. And she was like one of my best runners. She was running 4 to 5 times a week. She was running marathons and half marathons. And then COVID happened, and she was working on her feet 12 hours a day. And we were lucky to get 1 run a week in. But she did not quit. Like, Suzanne just kept showing up. She's like, I can only give 1 day a week, but I'm going to do it. And she did it for her mental health. But if she had pushed through and she was on her feet all day long, she could have ended up with a stress fracture, because being on your feet a long time adds stress to your bones. So you can do it for a short period of time, but then what's your mental state going to look like when you have a stress fracture? And then now you're in a boot at work all day and you can't run anymore. Yeah. And your stress reliever is now gone.
And there's added stress because you're not doing it, and you know that the fitness level is going down, and you know you're wearing this boot.
Yes,
it's so frustrating. It's hard to do anything.
If you can adjust, and she adjusted for 2 years. For 2 years, she would say, Coach, don't give up on me. Don't stop writing my schedule. I'm like, I'm never going to give up on you. Like, I'm just going to change your schedule. And I'd look at her schedule and I'd be like, oh, she only got in 1 this week. Maybe she'll get in 2 next week.
Working an overnight schedule.
Yeah, and not getting any sleep.
Yeah.
If you're not getting any sleep, your runs need to look different.
And so we even talked about a lot with Nick. That's what you were asking. Like, when do you eat? Because not everybody, even people that have a 9-to-5 job, some of them stand up all day, some of them sit all day, and how you interact that with your exercising, whether it's running or going to the gym, is going to look very different. Because standing up and moving around all day, a teacher, that's already exercise. That's like you said, moving is actually moving. It's actually exercise.
Like, honestly, even if you're under eating, if you're not eating enough calories to run, that's putting extra stress on your body too. So you can't run as many miles. Like, there's just so many things that go into it. Like, sleep. Like, do you drink a ton of alcohol? If you drink a ton of alcohol, you can't run as many miles. Like, there's just so many things, depending on what diet you're on. Like, if you're on a keto diet, you shouldn't run as many miles. So there's just there's a lot that goes into it. And if you can play with it and find the right balance, then you're going to stick to it longer.
Because I've even found that, going back to your saying about eating enough, if I go and shop, like grocery shop, or maybe go through, try to go to the mall or something like that, I don't realize that I need to add extra calories, because that 2 hours of walking around a mall, or an hour and a half of it, it's like, why am I so hungry? And then, so again, all of this, if your job entails you moving around a lot, then you need to probably eat more than the person who may be running very similar miles to you, but they sat at a desk for 8 hours. I mean, so everybody needs to think about what they are doing outside of the runs as well.
And your personality, actually. Like, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I don't really like to eat food. Like, it's just not my thing.
And I find that
crazy. I know. I'm like, okay, protein, carbs, veggies, gotta get it in, eat it. Like, what? Like, Luke gets so mad at me because he's like, you're so boring. Like, what? I'm like, well, I am boring about food, but. And sometimes I get hyped up about like lobster. I do get hyped up about lobster.
Well, there you go. That's as a good Maine child should.
I get hyped up about some things, but in terms of food, like, I need to know about my personality, that if I don't like to eat a lot of food, then guess what? You don't get to run as much. So I'm like, oh my gosh, if I want to run more, if I want to train for a marathon, Marie, you got to eat. I have to track to make sure I'm eating enough. Like, my personality just. So you got to know your personality. You got to know what you can handle. Everybody can handle different amounts of stress buckets. Like, some people can have a 3/4 full stress bucket, and some people get really stressed out when it's only a quarter full. So you have to know what is okay and what your right balance is.
Okay. So, so how to keep them from overflowing. So what would be some of the triggers that people might say, okay, this, I recognize that I am stressed. What can they do to keep it from overflowing?
That's a good question. To keep your stress buckets from overflowing, I like to tell people, first, back off on speed. Like, if you're doing speed work or you're running too hard, back off. Just go easier. And then after that, if you're still feeling stressed and you feel like it's too much, back off on your days a week. Try to take a rest day in between each day, just until you're starting to feel better. If you push through it, the only thing that's going to happen is you're going to be burned out, and then you're not going to want to run anymore.
And I think that's what people think when I talk about how much I love running. They're like, oh, you must run every day. I'm like, well, no.
No.
Because if I ran every day, I might not love it.
That's why I'm like not a super big fan of the streaks. Like, a lot of people do streaks, and the people that do it love it. So, like,
and that makes them happy.
Yeah, it makes them happy. If it makes you happy and you can stick to it, go for it. But a lot of those, like, if it were me, because I'm a crazy person on the streak, I would be like, I'm not just going to run 1 mile a day. Like, if I'm going out for a mile, I got to go 4. Like, it depends on your personality. And I know a streak for me is just one injury waiting to happen.
Well, so. I know that the amount of stress that would add.
Yeah.
Knowing that at any point I can say, can't do it today, makes my stress level down.
Yeah.
But if for some reason I know I can't, if I couldn't miss all day, I would think about, how am I going to get this in? What am I going to do? When do I need to eat?
Yeah.
And why would I put that on myself? And because I know that's going to add that stress bucket right up to the top.
Yeah.
When I could just keep it down by not going every day or forcing myself to do that. If other people they might think that by going every time at the same, every day at the same time, getting it done at the same time, maybe that makes them not stressed. So
yeah. And I mean, I make this sound so easy. Like I make it sound so easy, but I'm going to be the first person to tell you that when I was separated from my husband, which was like pretty close to 2.5 years we were separated, I ran myself into the ground.
Yeah.
I literally ran as much as I could run. And I paid for it. Like I did great those 2 years. I was doing great. I was killing it. I was qualifying for Boston. I was running marathons. I was killing it. My adrenaline was going. And then after we got back together and my life calmed down, my body was like, screw you for the last 2 years. And then it literally broke down. Like I was really sick. I got a really strange virus. Like I had to be on the couch for 3 months and basically sleep. So like, just because you can get through it doing it that way doesn't mean you should. And the longevity over time, like who wants to take 3 months off? Like I was so sad those 3 months. I was like, and now I was really happy that my marriage was back together, but it's not worth running yourself. Like a lot of people do it. Like if there's a death in the family or and the last thing you want to say is back off, if it makes you feel good and you get those endorphins, like,
right.
But sometimes you do need to back off.
So stress buckets, keep them low.
Yeah, keep them.
And learn to recognize.
Yeah.
Like you said, why is my stomach hurting? Oh.
Yeah.
Because in your brain had sort of overridden the stress, triggers. And all of a sudden it was like, oh.
And I think we lie to ourselves all the time about that.
All the time.
I'm not stressed. I got this.
Yeah. The end of 2023, I mean 2022 for me.
Oh yeah.
Where there were times where I thought I am not stressed at all. That I'm handling all of this, all the balls that got thrown at me at one time, and then it didn't. And then I had a little bit of a breakdown.
And you can handle quite a lot of balls.
Yeah,
I I just had to say it.
That's what I heard. That's what she said. But yeah, when it caught up to me, and it was, and then I couldn't do anything. It was go to work, go home, get in bed.
Yeah.
For, a whole week. Mm-hmm. But I had overridden all those stress factors, stress triggers. I just thought, no, you're stronger than this. You're stronger than, until, guess what? Your body says no.
Yeah. I mean, some of my clients are lawyers and they have like these really, these tricky trials that come up and they're like, Coach, I'm not going to sleep for days. And I'm like, okay, then I'm clearing your schedule.
Yeah.
So in the long run, a week off is no big deal. But if you push yourself all that time and then you have to take all this time off because you're injured or burnt out, then that's worse. Like the goal, you're going to get better if you just keep going and you keep doing it. So whatever you have to do to rearrange your life so that you can keep going to some extent.
And if it's a walk.
Yeah. Walks are great.
Put that on Strava.
I will tell you, there's never a time when you can't walk.
Right.
Like walking is always a stress relief. It's not hard enough on your body to produce a lot of cortisol. So if at the end of the day you're really stressed and you just need nature, go for a walk. There's nothing bad about a walk.
Yeah. And then if you're a part of our virtual running group here at the WFLA Run for Fun, all you have to do is download the Strava app, Strava. Look for the club. That's WFLA Run for Fun. And you can post that walk. You can post that run. You can, as Nick said, you get a little thumbs up from someone or a kudos from somebody. And it just makes you recognize, like it's nice to be recognized for doing something.
Yeah.
There's so many times we go to the gym, we go out for a run and nobody says, way to go, right? And so this is the great way for us to kind of grow this love for running because the more, I am a big proponent of running groups because for one thing, it's because other people are talking, like when there's 4 or 5 people, there's a constant talker. You have time to take a break because someone else is talking and then someone else is talking and then you can talk.
It's so funny. Some people if you actually talk to people that haven't run before, they think it's crazy that we talk. They're like, what? How do you talk and run? I'm like, well, that's what we're trying to teach you. Like you should be able to talk and run, right?
Right. And I think that even Nick recognized that just from the difference between when we told him just do some runs.
Did great this week.
First week we said, hey, 20 minutes as slow as you can.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I feel like I could go forever.
Yeah.
And that is what we want you to get.
Yeah.
Because if you start out going fast and it's hurting, you're not going to want to do it the next day. But if it was an enjoyable experience, let's just say that run was fun, you might.
I can't imagine.
I can't imagine this crazy idea that we built this whole show around. So,
and remember, seasons also have to do with age.
Yeah, like actual seasons.
Actually,
of life.
yeah. See, like if you're an older runner, you cannot run as many miles as you used to run. Like I know that sounds horrible, but you can still be a competitive runner and just run less miles if you're smarter. Like, it can happen. So seasons don't always have to do with like what kind of stress you have in your life. You could be retired and older and have all the time in the world, but you probably still shouldn't run like crazy miles, like more than you used to. So
right, you guys, you should not compare current you to 15 years ago you.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a very different you.
Yeah. You shouldn't compare yourself to anybody else or yourself when you used to, which we'll talk about next week on the podcast. So that's kind of cool. But yeah.
Well, if you want to follow along with Nick on Strava, but you can see if you're getting ready for a 5K, 2 slow runs at 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then an extra one in the middle with some hill repeats.
Yep. Hill repeats. And maybe I should put that up on Strava so that maybe I'll put the workout in Strava so you guys can see what the workout is. And so,
well, I think we've done it. We've incorporated running into our lives so that it adds energy, doesn't take away.
And if you guys have questions about this, ask us. Like that's what we're here for.
I mean, you see that I get the benefit of actually having coach at my. I can text her all these questions. But if you now have access to a coach who sometimes all you need is someone to say it's okay.
Yeah, couch to coach, right?
Yes, you don't have to do this, or you can do this. Sometimes we need coach to tell us we can't, because I'll sometimes think there's no way I can hit that pace, but coach said I can.
Yeah,
so
and there's sometimes that we over listen to our stress buckets too. Yeah. Sometimes you need a coach to be like,
you're probably okay.
Not mostly with my clients. Mostly I'm holding them back, but from getting hurt. But there are some people that need a little extra nudge at like. It's not quite as stressful as you think it is. So,
see how you feel after the ride. Then get back to me.
Give me that 5-minute rule.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. We will see you next Tuesday, even though today is Monday and I get to watch the Georgia Dogs play the National Championship.
We're all cheering for your team. Well, not maybe all of us.
Dogs. Last year, I actually got to go to the National Championship in Indianapolis, so I'm feeling a lot of FOMO that I'm not in LA to cheer them on, but. Couldn't get to LA.
I'm sure. Is David coming home? Is David going to be home for this? No. Oh. So you're just cheering by yourself tonight?
I'm going to go to the Georgia alumni cheering area. So we're going to watch it with all of the Georgia alumni in the Tampa Bay area. I'm really looking forward to it, everybody. So, might miss my run tomorrow.
That's okay.
In this season of life, in this end of football season life, I might miss tomorrow's run.
I said. You're consistent enough. I'm okay with it. Leigh.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. We look forward to seeing many more of you back on Strava. And don't forget, of course, this is a podcast. So you can either watch it digitally or send it through the YouTube link.
Yeah.
There's also going to be our Facebook page. But then, of course, you can always